Hello and welcome to the Book by Book, a podcast about the odd book or two we've read. I'm your host Scott, and I'm not alone. Tobie's here too. This episode we're talking about The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. Though in the nature of talking about books, some spoilers will slip, this is actually a fairly spoiler-free episode. So if that's okay with you, continue on, and I'll see you on the other side.
It's not too bad. Things are growing, but I feel like it's a losing battle.
Is it a bit stunted?
For every inch that something grows, something else dies. Like I had sunflowers that were growing, and then one of them got chomped to bits, one of them got whipped to bits, and the other one is kind of doing all right, I think. It's quite a hard battle to fight. Disheartening at times, more than it's been a joy at the moment anyway. How was your day?
Not too bad. I've been reading Neuromancer by William Gibson.
Neuromancer?
It's like, we'll get onto it. I'll probably finish, I don't know, sometime soon. Like the birth of cyberpunk, coined the term The Matrix. Like I said, I had a few pints outside, and like this book is at a breakneck speed. Like I won't get into a heavy review now, but every page there's like something new. I don't know what it is, and they just use it and drop it and move on.
And Brown, pages of reason to turn to the next one.
How do you feel about the Cabin in the Woods style genre? I don't know if it's a genre.
The Woods. Yeah, in essence, like a group of people go to a cabin in the woods, isolate themselves, and then some shit goes down.
Yeah, mostly used in horror, I would say.
Yeah.
Your Evil Dead.
I like the Cabin in the Woods. Is that the film? The Josh Whedon one? I thought that was a really good film. I like, what's the other one? The Eli Roth one.
Oh, Cabin Fever.
Cabin Fever. Thought that was very good in its day. Trying to think if I've seen any other ones. Camp, I guess Friday the 13th is one.
In essence, yeah, for sure, huh?
Yeah. No, I think it's a good subgenre of.
I mean, I certainly remember being in film school and doing segments in the woods. I guess it's when you're new to filming, like a lot of early filmmakers seem to do it. I think just because you can get carte blanche in the woods, you have your own space. You don't have to worry about time so much.
It lends itself to terror and unexpected and shadows. What's in the shadows? It's all about what's in the shadows and things like that in woods.
And don't get me wrong, I've seen a lot of crap Cabin in the Woods films. Tobie, have you ever heard of Paul Tremblay's The Cabin at the End of the World?
I have heard of Paul Tremblay's The Cabin at the End of the World. It's been on my list of books to read in time. I really like, not necessarily the cover of the book, the one you've got there, but there's one that's like a cabin, and then it's got a scythe and a load of weaponry and stuff hanging off of it, like a moon catcher. And that cover really, or dream catcher even, really grabbed me. So I've since seeing that and a few of his others, I quite like the look of what he's written. Obviously, he's revered by King and all of that sort of thing.
I did notice that there's like a King blurb in all his books. Sometimes it's the same blurb. I don't know if they're being cheeky by reusing it.
Pretty much is. It's about the author rather than the book.
I think I read somewhere he's on the board for the Bram Stoker book.
Okay.
I think it's that one.
Yes.
He's on a board of one of the big sort of horror.
Have you? What other books has he written?
I don't know much. This seems to be the one that peaks out, and it's certainly one that appealed to me. His other works are such as Disappearance at Devil's Rock, A Head Full of Ghosts, The Little Sleep. I've only really heard of A Head Full of Ghosts. That might be short stories. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it intrigues you to take heed. This is going to be a spoiler-free review.
Is it now, Scott?
Yeah, it's a. So I have this like super cheap paperback copy, and it is like 300 pages.
300.
Pretty much. It goes pretty quick. So we get a family in a cabin in the woods. Nice. This family consists of Eric and Andrew, like a gay couple, like a like a married gay couple, and their adopted daughter Wen, and she's just out in the front collecting bugs.
Who are the two people? Who are the
Eric and Andrew are the parents,
right?
And Wen is an adopted girl. She's pretty young. I don't know if she's like 4 or 5. Let me.
She's up and running around, and she's got her shit together.
Between 4 and 8, if that's not far too loose.
Okay.
She's just out collecting bugs, and we get little snippets of her backstory. She worries about her lip. She's had like a cleft palate surgery.
Right.
She has very, very distant memories of the orphanage where she was like collected in adopted in China and then brought to America from this couple. And we get these very tiny snippets of their life together.
Mm-hmm.
Overall life is pretty good. She seems quite a smart, astute young kid.
Cool.
And Leonard just comes out of the blue, like this man just appears. So the parents are inside and he's just talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows stranger danger. Like if anyone comes up to you, go seek your daddies. But he's a little odd, but quite charismatic in the way he talks to her. She does this nice thing where his age is infinite to her, but we know we sort of find out he's 24.
Right.
So for me and you, we'd say he's still quite young, but to Wen, obviously, he's a fully grown adult. And he's just like talking to her. I don't know, what's your favorite cartoon? We're a little creeped out, obviously.
Mm.
And so he helps her catch bugs. He just kind of gets to know her a little bit. And she just slowly becomes unnerved. Like they play this question and answer thing where I'll ask you a simple question, you ask me a simple question. And he's quite good at blindsiding her to get something pretty personal.
Right.
And she sort of...
parents are spending a hell of a lot of time in the house if this guy's got all this time in the world to, by the sounds of it, form quite a bond with his little girl.
I mean, you get the sense it's 10, 15 minutes max. Okay. It's not like they're out all morning or anything. It's like it's playing out live as you read it. She just gets the sense that she likes this guy, but she shouldn't trust him. Like some of his answers are too like, hey, I like that cartoon too. And she's like, what are the chances this 24-year-old man likes this cartoon? She sort of hears more people coming and she gets scared. And Leonard says, I need you to know that everything that is going to happen has to happen and it's not your fault. But you and your family have a very hard decision to make. And she runs into the house. And so these other people rock up and they're carrying these very strange half tool, half weapons. Like you said, described on the cover, like they kind of look like a scythe, but they've just been fashioned differently. And they each have a slightly different one that you can't quite tell what the use is, but they're odd and striking. These people, there's 2 women and a man. Redmond, Leonard, who we've met, Sabrina, and Adrian.
There's 4 in total, including Leonard.
The book does this thing where it, at least at the beginning, so it starts off third person, we're following a narrator. But every now and then we get these sort of chapter changes of just a character name. So the first one is Wen, and we're not particularly inside our heads, but when we go in the house, we'll get a chapter change to Andrew. Or I think she refers to them as Daddy Andrew and Daddy Eric, just because they can't both be Daddy, just to differentiate. We just slightly follow this character a bit more for the next few pages, even though they're all in the same room.
Yeah.
It's not odd, and it does play out quite well, but it does feel like you could just have a line and not the character name and carry on.
Yeah.
And so when they bolt the door, they're like, we're not going to hurt you. We're not allowed to hurt you. No matter what happens, we're not going to hurt you. You need to let us in. And they're like, hell no. Can you leave? Why are you carrying clubs? They don't have any phones because they're in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about weapons and they have something in the car, but they can't really get to the car. The people outside are like, can you just start off by letting us in and we'll talk? I promise we won't hurt you. Eventually, they're like, time is running out. We really need you to just listen to what we're saying. We're always cutting back to the parents who are like, hell no. Get these sort of flashes of like a past homophobic attack from one of them. Eventually, Redmond, I think, is like, we just got to barge in. They're sort of like, no, we're not really supposed to do that. But he's like, we're running out of time. We have to. So they sort of scuffle and kick the door in and come round. And that's where Eric gets pretty concussed, one of the fathers. And the family gets basically caught out and the 2 parents tied down. And so here's where we get our explanation of what this book is about. Hey, this is tough, but just listen first before you even think about believing. The world is going to end really soon. You as a family need to pick someone to sacrifice to save the world. If you don't, everyone else will die, but you'll live, but eventually you'll die because, what are you going to do? There's going to be 4 stages, and you'll see for each like X amount of time that passes, you haven't made a decision, something's going to happen. And that's as far as I think I want to take talking about the plot of this book.
Wow, that's a good setup. That's a really good setup. I'm not going to lie. That's not what I expected from this book at all. Although I didn't know what to expect, that's not what I expected. And the idea of a group of people having the ability to save the world through sacrifice of one of the characters. Is it one of the
It's one of the family. They
have to sacrifice one of their own.
The 3 family have to pick one to sacrifice. We sort of find out that these people aren't necessarily like a close group. They talk to each other quite strangely. Like, how long have they known each other? And so a massive chunk of the book, if not all of the book, is back and forth think, what if they're right and what if they're wrong?
Yeah.
And on both sides, we'll get characters not flip-flopping.
Yes.
Questioning what they should. So of the 4, there will be some of them questioning, like, what if we are wrong?
Family. And guessing each their decisions and their reasonings and stuff like that. That is intriguing. So how did this when this hit in the book, how did it make you feel while as a reader? Some moments like this make me go, ooh, Jesus. Like I said, hold my breath.
I just had a sense of dread. I don't think it's going to necessarily matter what we believe. I think something tragic is going to happen.
Yeah, a sense of dread, much like... I'm joking.
You said perfect storm.
Oh, there it is, Scott. Thank you. Yeah, no, yes, a sense of dread. And that prevails over the second half of the novel, would you say?
Actually, a little less. And not that the book lets up, but actually, in a strange way, it felt like the first half of the book has a very surreal feel to it. I don't know if you've seen the film Mother.
Yes.
With
Nicole Kidman. No, not Nicole
the Hunger
Kidman.
Games actress.
Yeah.
Darren Aronofsky. Semi-wank piece, semi-surrealist horror.
Yeah.
But at least for a good chunk of the first hour, there's just this feeling of something's not of this world, but like something is off-putting.
Off kilter.
Yeah. And it's actually the first half of this book that carries that more.
Right, okay, that's interesting.
So pretty early on, I had picked the side, is this real, in the terms of, by that I mean they are like an apocalyptic, trying to stop an apocalypse, and somehow it's come down to this? Or is it not fake, but are they wrong? Is it a joke on them? Is it a twisted, terrifying event? I picked my side early on.
Did you? Okay,
I mostly stuck to it, wavering in and out, going, oh, that's like the characters kind of had their initial thoughts.
Yeah.
For them to be dissuaded or stick to their guns. And the book does that very well. We do get these outside the cabin flashes. We get a few flashbacks, mainly the 3 characters, the 2 fathers, but occasionally, like, we do get to know the 4, either their connection or lack of connection. I mean, at the end, we get this incredible, I guess, rant, stroke apology, stroke attack from one of the attackers who is just not sure what the hell he or she believes in anymore, and is simultaneously like apologizing and is so sad and, like, you know what I mean, and not sure what the hell the right path is, because there are events that would say, yep, this is what they said. This is like a sign that the apocalypse is happening. There are sort of stages, and every time they don't make that sacrifice, something kind of happens. But from the dad's point of view, they can sort of argue like, well, that could be coincidence. It could be X, Z, and they do have a good point. Towards the book, somewhere along the line, we slip into first person. it's pretty natural, and it's actually not remotely jarring as you might expect.
Yeah.
I guess that's also playing on why we get these character names at the beginning when we don't necessarily need it. Actually, looking at the back of Paul Tremblay's other works, nothing particularly spikes out as, yes, I want to read that. But I feel like every time he has a new book out, I will check out to see if it's something I will dig. Like he certainly has, in this book anyway, like a style and a speed and a velocity that just keeps me engaged. Like we are 90% in the cabin.
Oh, that's cool.
And for the viewers, because I don't know what editing continuity is going to do, we recorded Cujo yesterday. And not one of my flaws, but something that jarred me out of the action a bit was that we were in the car and then we were across the world here and then we were across the world there. And I think, as you said, sometimes it's so high tension, you need a breather.
Yes.
And that's kind of, I think, what these flashbacks work at as well.
Yeah.
My only other thoughts, so I have no idea of Paul Tremblay's sexuality. So I'm thinking there could be a couple reasons, particularly why, outside of he just wanted to write a rounded gay family without having any sort of cliches or what have you, because they both come off as pretty rounded. You know what I mean? Like nothing plays into them. Like there's some history they have which does play into the book.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like a key thing would be, how many times have we seen in a movie or a book where a 2.1 family has to make a sacrifice? And I think we kind of know, if it comes down to it, it's going to be the dad, right? There are just ideas of masculinity and heroics, I suppose, that come down to the alpha male of the family, what have you.
Yeah, so does it become is the fact that he's written it as a gay family to elevate that final decision, which is usually taken by the male in a masculine, heroic way, by putting two people in, you doubled
right. Yeah, I really read this book. I read it in a day, 2 days or so. Like
did it surprise you?
Yes. I want to talk about like a middle book key event because it's so stunning. There are surprises to be had. There is violence in this book.
Okay.
Despite the four saying like, we cannot hurt you, we're not going to hurt you, nonetheless,
there's violence.
Seven characters, and with a timer, there is blood and violence. I mean, I can certainly see why King digs it. It's very sort of up his alley.
Okay, well, I'm definitely going to read it now. You've sold it to me. Let's put it that way. Oh wow, that is very well. Yeah, like I say, you've intrigued me enough to go and now jump on Amazon and find a cheap copy of it. Get it sent to me.
It's certainly the perfect beach read with like minimal characters, no real change in location. Something you can just, I think over the last few months I've been sort of dual reading a bunch of books. Like this is something you could just put down and pick up and remember where you are. Right. But I think it's something you won't want to stop reading. It's once you start, it's like you kind of take a breath in and you're like, okay, just for the ease, I'll finish this before I breathe out.
Yeah, okay, it's very wicked.
I guess you can tell I'm highly rating this one.
Yeah, very much so.
Just a nice, unexpected horror.
Yeah, I do wish I had the ability to read a book like that in 2 days. I think I've mentioned maybe before in previous cast, but the only book that I've ever managed to read in a day was The Road, and that's because I sat there for 9 hours and did nothing else but read. So I guess it is possible, but yeah.
I would take issue because you often say your problem is you're a slow reader. I don't actually buy that you are. I just think you don't read often. I would say me and you probably read at the same speed, but I feel like I read a lot. Like my natural.
Well, you did have that race on the train that day where you read a page from Christina and I read a page from whatever book I was reading, and you won by some distance.
That's true, but I think because we were racing, I was sort of speed reading. I don't think I naturally read.
You've got the ability to speed read, right? I've just got the ability to go, and the boat.
But I read. I mean, outside of work being extremely busy, I read like every day.
Yeah, that is a massive difference. I don't do that. I can't remember the last time I picked up a book and read it. It's been a while, and I need to do more of it.
It would boost us, the fact we're doing a book podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think we've discovered that when you're not feeling it, you're just not feeling it.
Because I think I don't know why. I guess it will surely come around again. Like both of us, if we have waves of reading and then not reading, and then reading and then not reading. Only my wave is generally longer, and then I'll suddenly hit a groove and just go. But this Cabin at the End of the World does sound rather bloody intriguing.
This is definitely one, like, I've been reading this like just out on the grass in the sun. Like it's like I said, it's sort of a perfect beach read. Like you just burrow your head in, and like depending on your copy, like I said, nowadays I just buy like the cheapest paperback I can, which often translates less words per page.
Yeah,
I think there's this strange momentum of just getting more pages in per hour, what have you, which just can kind of give you an oomph to read. Wow, look how much I've read in like 1 hour. I can read half the book if I keep going to noon or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Wicked.
I picked up a copy of The Children of Dune, the third in the Dune trilogy, just in like a secondhand store. Like it's a really old, like a 60s copy. I don't know. But I went to look at it recently, and the text is just tiny, blurry, and I think I'm just putting it on my to get rid of list. It's kind of a big book. It's 500-600 pages maybe.
Yeah.
And I don't want to physically stick my nose in this ugly print. Hey, we're going to wrap it up around there. I want to thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed. Join us again next episode, and until then, support your local bookstores and have a great day.